was someone that I used to thrive on, the hot mess express. And I would say, I do great under pressure. Like, this is where I shine. And I did, but it was at the cost of what, didn't have that peace of mind. That when it came to maybe, being on a date night, I felt like I wasn't present because my mind was elsewhere.
I know you talk about women work and how you do help them through that process as a wholeness strategist.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to anyone trying to go through that healing process? What would you say the first 2 steps are for them to really start that healing process, and to get whole again?
I truly believe, and this is, I feel that we really have to just look inward and really know that we're not in this world alone, that we have created. So I think it really starts with our self-image as women, because, our self-image is really, shown to us at an early age. That's through our parents, that's through our backgrounds and everything. So when we're coming, what is our self-image? Are you someone that has, a self-image that is limiting you, that has, fear surrounding you? Or is your self-image of, growth? So those are the first step, where assessing where you are in your life, having that self-awareness. Where am I? And also, where do you want to go? So having those two, where are you, assessing where you are and where you want to go. And the second part would be, how do I get to where I want to be? And that could be with anything in life. Let's say you want to start a business, you want to, be in a healthy relationship. It's really assessing that first, being aware, and then dreaming, designing where you want, what to be, and then figure out who you need to become to get that. So in a essence, that's where I would, say to anyone that is looking to overcome those hurdles, it's like, where are you in your life? And allow yourself to really dream up where you want to be, and, develop the skills that you need to get there.
With that being said, how has women's school helped you shape you to the person you are today? I mean, as I'm listening, it's almost like you went through that transformation journey to you in Peru, to not wanting to get married at all, and now loving the process, obviously. How has women's school or womanhood in general helped shape you as a person, or has it not impacted you at all?
Oh, it has definitely shaped me into the person. And I don't think I've arrived. I constantly think like, okay, this is the current dream that I have, in the face of my life. And there's still yet for me to do. There's still so much for me to grow. But, talking about the women's school, it was truly when I, decided to take on the women's school, I was at a point that I knew I needed a way to level up at a higher capacity, because I wasn't able to do it on my own. And then again, this was kind of the limiting belief that I can do it all. I can be able to just be the entrepreneur, the mom and the wife, even listen to myself self-help books and everything. I got this. I'm like, it all falls on me, right? But I have learned through this journey that, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are tried and true ways to really level up your skill sets in your journey. And that's through mentorship, and that's through accountability. So I think the women's school for me has been a great mentorship for me to just really become self-aware of where I was. And, again, designing where I want to be or when I want to go in this phase of my life, and giving me the skills that I had to really learn to get there. And that was through routine. I was someone that I used to thrive on, the hot mess express. And I would say, I do great under pressure. Like, this is where I shine. And I did, but it was at the cost of what, I didn't have that peace of mind. That when it came to maybe, being on a date night, I felt like I wasn't present because my mind was elsewhere. So what has been the biggest gift through this, women's school journey was that I am now able to just be self-aware when I'm not being present and when I am, because that was something that I felt like I wasn't paying attention to maybe my kids because I was thinking of a business call that I had to jump on, or during date night or quality time with my husband, I was scroll trolling or whatever. So now I'm more disciplined, and it's like, this is the time with my kids, and I do not pay attention to anything else. That is my gift to them. That is my time with them. When I'm with my husband, I am with him. I am not looking at my phone. I am not taking a phone call. I am dedicating my time with him. And when I'm in with my business, that's my business. I'm not taking, personal calls. I am not taking, so it has really helped me to just become more intentional in how I utilize my time.
I love it. We talk about mindfulness, being in the present, especially in our personal lives.
Mhm.
But I think it has to be translated into the business, where we are keeping time away. Family time is different, and then business time is different. And especially as an entrepreneur, I think what the pandemic has done, where people are more than ever working from home, therefore they're merging the two. Would you say is one of the most dangerous traits an entrepreneur can have? Either they're in a mentorship position or they are in a managerial position. What have you seen to be a dangerous trait that they have?
Well, I think there's more than one dangerous trait, to be honest with you. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially, I don't know about you, but myself, I used to be someone that I can't turn off because I'm so passionate about what I do that I can't turn off. And that is, dangerous, because then that consumes you and that's your life. And it's so great to have that passion and that drive and that hustle. But if that consumes you, where is your marriage? Where is your relationship? Is your family life? And it cannot, because at the end of the day, I want my kids to remember me as a mom that was present. I want them to remember me as someone that, loved them for who they are and, supported their dreams and their talents, and not someone that was so busy with getting all the to-do lists that I didn't have time to slow down. So, what I want them to remember, a mother that was peaceful and joyful. So that is true. The dream of the season of my life is to really walk in peace and joy in all aspects of my life. And that is my business, my marriage, and, my friendships and my family.
I agree with you. When we talk about entrepreneurship, I think one of the many reasons, and correct me if I'm wrong here, one of the many reasons I think you find entrepreneurs doing multiple things and sometimes merging everything at once, and which I don't hear enough talk about, is the financial part of it. What would you say when it comes to finances, especially for women entrepreneurs? And I'm sure any entrepreneur watching this can learn from this as well. What would you recommend, or what do you see lacking when it comes to the financial part of it, forcing many entrepreneurs or inspired entrepreneurs to really even get started, or even to go on to follow their passion or even their mission?
That's a great question. I think that it really, when an entrepreneurship, when you're having that startup, and that cost, for you to start your own business, it can be, for some, you're spending all of your life savings or whatever it may be. So I feel like it puts you in a place of sometimes scarcity, a mindset of scarcity, that you have to really protect this project, this business with everything, because you have nothing else, But if you look at, the millionaires, the billionaires, in one book I love, it's The Millionaire Mindset. They are constantly investing in different things that's, generating income for them. So it's not just one thing that you focus on and give all your all, because if that doesn't work, then you don't have, what do you have left? As opposed to coming from abundance mindset, that I am able to create money. Money comes easily to me. I create new businesses with ease. Changing that mindset from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, also in entrepreneurship, it's so needed, because just because you're an entrepreneur does not mean that your mindset is abundant, because sometimes you're so scared of this, that you have, that you don't want anything to get in the way, that you don't open up the doors to other things. You don't open yourself up to do different things that could also benefit you.
Now, looking inward, what is one of the most important risks that you took, either as a mother, as a wife, or as an entrepreneur? And as I'm listening to your life story, I know I mean I can pinpoint so many different risks that you took. But from your point of view, what is the most important risk that you took?
I think for me, and I've reflected on this a lot, and I always say this, it was taking the risk of walking away from dental school and start my network marketing business. I felt like I didn't have that background in, business, but I knew deep down that, dentistry was not for me. And it's for some, but it was not for me. I truly felt that I was made for more. And not to say there's anything wrong with dentistry, that, it's not a great profession. I think it is. It's something that, you're passionate about. But I realized that I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I realized I did it for the money aspect, the security. I wanted to be secure in my life, and that I guess I wanted to live in my comfort zone, so the minute I walked out of that comfort zone and I needed to really, step into new shoes and new leadership, that was scary, but it has been the most rewarding, because it has truly brought me to the place where I am now. It taught me to really, personal develop. I fell in love with personal development, and that's really what led me to become a wholeness strategist with the women's school. It has also helped me to help people just get into a healthier lifestyle, and also create additional income. So there's so many benefits that came from making that choice, but at that time it was so scary, and I think it was quote unquote the biggest risk of my life, because I felt I didn't have the skills to do it, but I did have the deep just calling that that's what I needed to do. I pictured my life 40 years, doing the 9 to 5. And I honestly had, physical, just, I guess, rejection. I started to have hives from stress. I would literally just kind of scratch my arm, and it was like a cat clawed me, because I was under so much stress. And I realized that is not the way I want to live my life. That it's not going to serve me. And therefore, if I'm not coming from a place of wholeness, I'm not coming from a place that it's really, I feel like my gifts and talents are being utilized, to the way they should, I can't serve my family. I can't serve, my community at the end of the day. So that was my risk, but it was the biggest, reward afterwards.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I did promise you guys we're gonna go back to that. But one thing you mentioned before, which I love, it's just, I know you mentioned about womanhood and how you got to the place you are now. What would you say to anyone in the dating process? I love how you said to put the reminder against the wall. So I wanted you to expand more on that. When it comes to the dating pool and the dating process, how was that process for you? And what would you recommend to anyone, either wanting to do this as an entrepreneur, or maybe they're still working a 9 to 5, or maybe they're in the process of merging into an entrepreneurship lifestyle, or even motherhood? What would you recommend for them?
Well, I was fortunate enough to meet my husband when I was 19. I'm sorry, I was 20 and he was 19. So we went through a lot of life together, and we always joke, they were like, we're so happy we met each other at such a young age, and, didn't have to do like the dating app, afterwards. But what I have witnessed and just really walked my friends in this journey has been that, you have to really have clarity of the man that you want to come into your life. I can't stress that enough, because I remember at 16, this is like 4 years before I met Connor. I was in, my high school, relationship, and I knew like this person was not for me. At the end of the day, it was not going to be for me. And I remember I wrote down, and I wish I still had this, I wrote down a letter, and I really just said, God, this is what I want. And from what I remember saying, I want a man that, is hardworking. I want a man that loves me for me. I want a man that loves my family and respects my family. I want a man that is fun, spontaneous, and it's always going to keep me on my toes. Like I was literally just being very specific of, the traits that I wanted my future spouse to have. And I wish I would have had it, up under my refrigerator or, my vanity table, because maybe I would have listened to that list and not kissed the frogs that I did before I met my husband, So that's something
you needed
that
to kiss the frogs.
you do, you really did, and that's something that, I'll share also with, having met so young. We were 19 and 20, right? When we met, we were college sweethearts. And at the end of graduating college, we really kind of came to a crossroads, and where we actually took a 4-month break. So for me, in my eyes, I was done. I thought like we were done. We were not getting back together. I kept repeating that Taylor Swift, song, like we're never, ever getting back together. That was my anthem in 2012. And I remember just, being devastated, because again, I feel like my life goes in parts. The first part of my relationship with Connor, I call it, where I was kind of shaping and morphing into the person I thought he wanted. I wanted to be desirable by him, as opposed to really honing in of who the person that I am. So, anything that bothered me, I didn't speak up. I kind of just like, I just kind of went along with the ride, but not really, I didn't hold him accountable. And that's where, I felt like we had, our issues and like that we had to resolve and really just heal. So when we took that 4-month break, we really needed to just reflect and see, is this the person that, I want in my life, and I truly, again, it's about detachment. So at that point, I felt, nope, like if we're breaking up, this is it. Like I have to really detach myself and know. And I remember praying and saying, God, if this man is for me, give me a sign. If he's not for me, please take him out of my heart. Because when we broke up, I was devastated. I literally thought it was like COVID. I had no taste for food. It was devastating. I literally felt like I saw the world in black and white. And that made me realize I cannot put my everything in a man, because, that's not what we're being called for. If man is not my everything. And I can say this, and I've talked about Connor, let's say one of my biggest fears, it used to be that, like, God forbid something happens to him and I am left a widow. What would happen? And that is still something, a fear that I have, like losing my family, my loved ones. But I realized if that were to happen, I would be okay, because I have, worked on myself, and I know that at the end of the day, I have God and I'm not alone. So I really needed to really prioritize that time and that develop my relationship with the Lord, to really be able to know that, my spouse is not the person that is going to fulfill me, but instead, God, we have a God-like whole, and that is the fulfillment that we need. We need to foster the relationship with the Lord and really walk with him and accept his guidance and will, to really, and sometimes he knows better. And I think that sometimes in our generation, we're like, no, I know best. And it's like, no, sometimes we don't know best. And we really have to trust the Lord that he knows, and that he's a good father, and that, he's there for us. So for me, that was something that I needed to learn. I needed to learn that needed to know my dignity and self-worth, that I can't just say yes to whatever he says. I needed to have my own voice and my own opinions. And sometimes I feel like at a young age, you tend to go with what, that person wants, and you try to change yourself and shift yourself into that person. but guess what, that's not who you are. So you're gonna come into struggles and issues that need to be addressed later on. So first thing, it's like know who you are, know your dignity and your worth. The second is really foster that relationship with the Lord. Know that the person that you marry, the person that you choose to marry, is not going to fulfill you, and that knowing that, it kind of just takes off the pressure, because I know that I am not the person that's going to fulfill Connor, that I am allowed to make mistakes because I'm a human being, and he's allowed to make mistakes because he's a human being. Because if I put him in a pedestal and that he is this like my knight in shining armor coming to my rescue, no, we already have a savior, that's Jesus Christ, that's and that sometimes we can do that as women. We idolize, we get the Hollywood, like this person completes me and this person this and that. And I think that just really paints a distorted picture of what marriage is like, in a relationship, because then you're comparing and saying, well, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And I would recommend, like self-help books in that arena. So 2 books that I'll mention that I love, it's the 5 love languages. That is really learning. Yes, I love that. So I feel like I've done a lot of just, because I needed to learn relationships. I didn't have a role model. I didn't have role model parents to really teach me that. So I needed to just really learn. So the 5 love languages, learning, the way that, my spouse gives and receives love, and the way that I do. So, and then also the temperament that God gave your spouse, and so you learn the temperament that you have, how, what is your temperament? Are you the extrovert, introverted? And where is your husband, and how the ways that you guys can really understand each other and love each other and have a life-giving marriage. So those are 2 books that are off the bat that I will recommend, that I think every single person, single, married, or a mother should read, because it is just it just paints a bigger picture into, building a family, building a family that's going to be life-giving and just beautiful marriages.
I love it. I love it. And the reason I love that story, and especially the part where you wrote down what you needed, and it's almost like this prayer to God, is when we have a business, as a entrepreneur, we're talking about even Apple or Sonic or even any type of business, they all have a mission statement.
Yeah. And business plans.
Yeah, and it's almost like the core foundation of who they are, of what that business. Now, if you go back to Apple, their business mission statement has transformed, been updated, has been revamped, and changed over the years. And the reason I love what you said about writing it down is we should have our own mission statement, our own prayer to God. Not only say it, but also writing it down. I'm like, oh my God, I should have been doing that.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. So to anyone listening, I think it's such a great concept, a great foundation, especially when you're looking for this perfect mate, you're looking for this husband or perfect relationship. And I couldn't have agreed with you more. I think it's such a great concept. Write it down.
Yeah, write it down. And to add on that, I think there should be mission statements for when you're single, when you are, you're engaged or, married, and also the mission statement for your family. So I truly believe it has to be 3, because like you said, companies evolve. So just like ourselves, we evolve. So we need to have mission statements or dreams, for each season of life. So what is your dream right now, currently, as a single woman? What is your dream as a married woman? What is your dream as a mother? And write those mission statements so we have clarity into where we want to go. Without those statements, without those business plans, there is, we don't know which way to go, so we need those tracks to kind of run on in order to get to the end goal.
Yeah. Like for me, when I had to start Empire, I remember the first thing I did, I said, let me write a mission statement. And then when I finally got everything done, I'm like, our mission statement has to change again. So many times. So as you said, we evolve. And as we evolve, don't be afraid to write it down and then look back of where you started and where you are now. And I love how you said, when you were a mother, when you were single, and when you married, those are 3 different
Faces.
characteristics and phases in your life. And I think you should definitely write it down. So with
Yes.
that being said, how do you now maintain your mission with your vision? And I'm sure it has transformed, but how have you maintained that foundation and really align your mission with your vision?
So I truly, I mean, from an early age, I always felt that, calling to help others. That's why I feel I walked in the healthcare space, because I wanted to be of service. I wanted to use my gifts and talents to help people. And, so my current for this season of my life, is to really help women, have an integrated life, home and work balance, because oftentimes, like you said, as entrepreneurs or as, women, CEOs or 9 to 5 work that, it's hard to find that balance in a way. But what if we could have, a school, which is the women's school, somewhere where you can have that integration and really learn their skill sets. So for me, my heart and mission is for that entrepreneur woman who is wanting to find that peace, have a thriving business, have a thriving family, and have a thriving marriage. So those are the three things, the kind of the trifecta that my mission is, and my vision is to really, like, as a large scale, is to, help, our current generation, become the better version of ourselves as women, so we can make that generational shift. So our daughters, I mean, I think about my 2 little girls, my Juliet and Gabriella. I want them to know, that, no dream is too big. I want them to just dream so openly. I want them to know, how much they're loved, that their dignity and their self-worth. I want them to know that they're daughters of God. I want the world for them. And therefore, I need to make that shift in myself in order for me to give that. If I don't come from a place of wholeness, I can't give wholeness to my daughters. So I love being a mama, a girl mamas, we call it, because I truly feel like my heart is for women. My heart is for making that generational shift. And I truly feel like, I'm in the mission to, build that army of women that are wanting to make that difference, are wanting to make that change.
I love that.
Circle. I have a lot of acquaintances, but when it comes to my close circle of friends, I make sure that, the women that I have in my life are, again, having that mission statement from my friends, who do I want as my friends? Are these women, life-giving? Are they supportive, or are they, catty and jealous? I don't want that in my life. So